you were. Oh, that was your class.
That's our class. 2001 when we graduated.
Oh, I thought you guys were 99, 2000.
Nah, bro. So we played in the 2000 year, but we graduated in 2001.
Y'all played in two decades. That's two millenniums. That's crazy.
Bro, he loves making me feel old, bro. He loves making me feel old.
I always give Brent shit because when I was a freshman at Centerville, Brent had just left, won a state championship, but because of his class, Westfield was born.
Yeah.
They had like 4,200 kids at that damn school at Centerville.
London Town. They were all in London Town because I was there all summer.
London Town, Virginia Run, Rocky Run,
Rocky Run stayed.
the Meadows.
Rocky Run stayed. The Meadows left.
No, but I'm saying like that was the vastness of your guys' district.
The reach was big.
Like you guys went from Stringfellow or the eastern side of Stringfellow on 29 all the way down to the other side of 29 before you hit Bull Run, and then everything from, like I said, Stringfellow all the way down to Union Mill. Yeah. So like all of that was Centerville. They had like 4,200 kids.
That cutoff was what's the road down by your house when you drive down, you go past the pool? What's that road called? Because where Stone is.
That's
right?
Stone Road.
Yeah, that's the cutoff.
Stone Road, Newgate.
If you lived across the street, you went to Chantilly. But if you lived on this side where Stone was, and this way, you went to Centerville.
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought Centerville had. Oh, when Westfield wasn't there.
Right. Because
that makes sense.
Because Marcus lived across the street, but because his parents were both in Fairfax County,
he got to choose.
He got to choose where he went to high school. He went to high school where his dad coached.
Yeah. So they had like 4,200 kids, and the county was like, "We got to build a new high school." And as soon as they won a state championship, that high school was in their second year. The following year, all of like the would-be ninth graders, they kind of got to pick and choose what school they wanted to go to. Yeah. And of course, you're going to go to the new school. Yeah. So like
new opportunities and everything.
Yeah, our population went from like 4,200 one year to like 2,800 the following year, and then when I graduated, we only had 14, 15 seniors.
Jeez.
And that's, when a new school opens up, especially in Fairfax around that time, like that was the devastating impacts of the sports program. Because Centerville, when you guys graduated, both of you guys graduated, Centerville for probably the next 5 or 6 years lived off of tradition and tradition alone. Yeah. We didn't have the population. We just had the foundation of a quality sports program.
Yep.
And we could win the games we were supposed to win, but then we would lose games that we would normally win. Like for an example, my senior year, we lost to Annandale. We were up to like 34 to like 14 at halftime. And then we came out in the second half, and Donnie Warren started, just wanted to continue to throw the rock and run it up.
Yeah.
And we ended up losing the game in the last drive. And it was awful, so we lost games like that. And, we were rolling the dice in some of the transfer portal, which is something you should never do in Fairfax, right? Especially back then, because, you get a transfer in, you don't complete the paperwork, and not every situation is a Nick Smith situation, right? Where you come in and you just change the face of a program.
Nick Smith, we remember that one. Yeah. Like, he was at Parkview.
Parkview,
He was at Parkview. They went to court. He was like, I'm staying with my grandma. Everything else. I stayed in Centerville the entire summer because I was always at Larry Nelson's house. Like, I was always at his house. I was always around. And then it was like football season. You went over and you're playing for Robinson. But, when you talk about transfer stuff, it's weird too, how that stuff goes. My dad lived in Burke, but it was pretty much my grandparents lived there. But my mom, she lived all over the place. So I was always staying at Larry's, or I was in Woodbridge coming to my place. I was always going to we lived in Leesburg going to Robinson, and all these places going to Robinson, like over and over and over again. So like that was weird to see that. But the transfer thing has been huge in that sense, and you don't want the kids to transfer, especially Fairfax County. It's just it's a mess. And now with the new rules are stopping all that stuff with the 365. Have you guys heard about that?
Yeah.
The 365 stuff.
365 rule, yeah.
Yeah.
I call those the Overton rules.
They are the Overton rules. They're affecting us all.
We love the O's, so we joke, but I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about transfers, you're not just talking about football in Northern Virginia. You're talking about field hockey. You're talking about lacrosse. You're talking about baseball, especially. This area
baseball.
is a hotbed for baseball.
Madison.
And if you want to go to a Division I or play at the next level, you're going to go to one of these powerhouse schools.
Yeah.
And my philosophy is always, if I have a coach that's has a pedigree,
Yeah.
and if I have a coach that I know is going to do well by my athlete,
Yeah.
like I want to follow that coach. I think it's my God-given right to raise my children under the influence of people who I think are going to be positively impactful on them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that any local, state, or I don't even want to say government, because VHSL is not a governing entity, right? I don't think they have the right to determine whether or not I get to choose who I want my children to be influenced by.
Yeah.
I just think that's very archaic. I think in its process, I can understand why it could be an issue, especially in Fairfax County, because they're not even allowed to build any more high schools in this county. It's so overpopulated. And I can understand why you would want people to be district and zoned, but what I don't understand, and I understand that for the general population, but I don't understand that for people who have shown that they're going down a pathway of excellence, whether it be athletics or academics.
Yeah.
You don't have to live in the TJ district in order to go to TJ.
That's
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
facts.
And so, like, academically, what's the difference, right? There's more money, in my opinion, if you ask me, in athletics than there are in academia. If you really want to go that route, right? There's billions, or there's hundreds of millions of academic scholarships that are going out, but there's hundreds of billions of athletic scholarships going out, including the NIL.
Yeah.
Right? When we factor that in, that's just a whole different. That's a
different ballgame.
That's a different ballgame, right?
Different ballgame.
The question I always have is, like, why are we able to do that for academics, but we're not able to do that for athletics?
Yeah.
And I never get a solid answer at the end of the day.
It's always different.
Yeah.
I think in a way where football is impacted too. Like you think about like the impact of football. There are schools that are going to suffer. The Lewises really suffer.
Yeah,
right.
they do.
Those guys will go to their boundary schools. Hayfield, for example, they suffered for quite some time because you have South County and the others in Lake Braddock and Annandale. And some of those guys were like, oh, I want my kid to go here. I want them to go there. Like Westfield for, quite some time. People want their kids to go places. So when you have that mid-level and everyone's Division VI, and you have the powerhouse dominant schools that are going to continue to be a powerhouse dominant schools because they're feeding in more student population, like you said. You said, they have more population that are walking in through their doors. So you're going to find, one in every so often or every student, like, a football player, a big person, instead of trying to mold it. So you'll have the Marshalls, you'll have the Langleys, W&L. Like, these kids are not getting that. I mean, I know Arlington's a little bit different, and I think that you get to choose your school going into there. But but there's only 3 schools. There's Wakefield, there's Arlington, there's Yorktown, and you're going there. But everyone else in Fairfax County, this is Fairfax County, you don't get to do that. And so when you're a mid-level team or you're really trying to strive to get to that next level, you need talent. But then you need talent that comes from youth football. And Herndon doesn't have youth football. Everyone goes to Reston, and Reston feeds into South Lakes. They're the Seahawks. Right. Everything is there.
That's who we played when I was a kid. We played Reston. Yeah.
And like you have that. Like there's no representation. So how do we pick our kids and then get them out there? It has to be at the youth level. And for myself, like I go ahead and I'm at youth games. I went to some flag football games. I'm always wearing the colors and the shirt. And so if anyone asks, oh, you're at Herndon? Yeah, I'm the new head coach. And I'll talk to them and families that way. And it's the way that we have to actively recruit out there. It's like you live in these boundaries. This is where you are. Hey, how are you? And it's not saying, oh, come to this school or that school. But I think that youth football has influenced where people go to school.
Yes.
Right. And they influence where they've gone to school and where they play. And those schools are the same schools that continued success over and over and over again. So how do we get to the next level has always been my mindset. Like, how do we get to that Westfield level? Right? How do we get to that Lake Braddock level? Right? How do we get to what Robinson used to be and they're going back to? How do we get back to that level? Like, how do we get to these levels? And so it's really just student involvement. And then you got to think about like the demographics of where we're pulling in. Like, you know, some areas are great for football and then others aren't. You know, like it just depends on where you live and your population. Like we're very soccer heavy and other sports that are here and baseball is really good. And so we're trying to continue that success with football year in and year out. And how do you continue to recruit these hallways, number one, and get these guys to come out to enjoy the experience of playing a sport, and just have a ball at it. And that's where my mindset is of when it gets to the recruiting, right? Like we don't have to go to Westfield to take one of their guys. We don't have to go to Chantilly to take a guy. We don't have to go to Centerville to take a guy. Like you don't have to do those things, but you have to recruit your building, your neighborhood. What do you do for your community? How do you feed into that? And just find success that way.
Yeah.
And so still learning as a new guy here, but and meeting people and doing all the things that football requires, because football does require a lot.
Yeah.
Off season, you're here all the time. It's like your job, your work duty, and things get so stressed at the beginning of it because you're trying to wear so many hats and then you're trying to delegate to certain others, but then you're trying to run this program like you want to run it. Right. And then like the problem that we find, like even if it's not recruiting, well, people want to walk into your doors as other coaches, right? Like they want to walk into your doors and do what they want to do because it's what they know and what they've done, but it's never to sit down and ask you, what do you want to do as a coach? And so like you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with families, but then you're dealing with men too with their things. And not everyone sees how you come into a building and like impact kids' lives. Like I think that football coaches impact kids' lives and they do it so well. So for me, I try to impact the kids as everyone gets a fist bump. Everyone shakes a hand. Like if you guys were sitting here and all the players are here, every last one of those players are going to come up to you and say hi. They're going to introduce themselves, and it's going to be that way because we're all for respect. But you want that with your coaches as well. And some people are just X's and O's. They don't care about anything else. And it's like, it's just X's and O's. It's winning football, but it's really just the impact. And when you continue to do that over and over again, like you're recruiting and you're finding that success that major programs have, and you become that because people want to follow you as a lead and leader, and they want to follow the institution for what it is. And then you're getting yourself to the next level. So, I mean, I know the recruiting thing and the Daryl Overton stuff has impacted people. It's going to impact, families for quite some time. It's really hard being at some of those lower level schools, and not saying that Herndon's an upper level school. We're still up and coming. And how do we get to that and bridge that, because those things were done with Coach Bachman. And now it's like, how do we do this with Coach Richards now? And like, how do we continue that on and make that next step and having people buy in? But that's always an ongoing thing. Like, just the recruiting, and now how do we have to recruit effectively?
Right.
So it was refreshing for us to hear that you're at the ground level.
Yeah.
Because that's a conversation we actually have a lot. Like coaches need to be at the youth level, and youth football is important to high school football.
Yeah.
So hearing you talk about you're at the 7-on-7s, you're at youth events. It's like you're doing what you're supposed to do. So it's refreshing to hear that you are out there. You are trying to talk to these kids and make contact with parents, and not go out and say, "Hey man, come to Herndon." Like, "Hey, man, come over here." And
that's
you're
important.
Actually.
Yeah. It's important, especially with the wrestling thing. I had to go talk to the commissioner, and I talked to the commissioner and said, you guys, we don't have Herndon Football. I would love for Herndon Football to come back. I would, love to talk to, the city council and all that stuff and get them to come back over here and build something from the ground up. But there are so many coaches that coach at South Lakes and are in that program that see our kids all the time. But then they're like green and blue and all that stuff, and a Seahawk on their helmet. And I went over there and said, look, BRYC has multiple team names. They're the Bruins, they're the Rams, they're whatever you want them to be. SYA had done the same thing for a long time in Vienna. They had done the same thing for a long time. How come we can't have a Reston Hornets team? Well, we would have to change some things, and you don't have to change the colors. Just how do we get representation within there? But you still have to go over there, knowing that many of those kids are growing up in that community, going to Herndon Middle School, and then end up deciding to go to South Lakes and high school, and it's been an ongoing thing. And we know it because there's families that have been a part of it, and then I see that stuff from the outside lens and having family members that have kind of done the same thing with other schools, and how do they move on to that next program. So we want to keep our kids in Herndon. We want our kids to play in Herndon. We want them to thrive in Herndon. We want to do the best things that we can for them here, and know that they don't have to go anywhere else, but they're going to get that. They're going to get looked at. We're going to have an advocate. I just drove one of our kids up to New Jersey, for a college recruit, and that's just been me for the last few years. It's cars, it's full. I'm gonna take some, and this weekend is hitting up. I have more students that I have to take up. Okay, let's take them up and get them an opportunity to get a scholarship and play at another level, and to get recognized and seen. And so you do have to do a lot of those things and wear those hats. But it's just an important ongoing cycle.
I love it. I love it, man.
Do you feel like when it comes to the level of competition in those mid-level schools that you're talking about, or the lower level schools that you're talking about, if the VHSL is going to be stringent on the transfers and stringent on how long a kid can be, has to live in a particular area before they can be accepted into an athletic program, don't you think that they should be reevaluating the classes, reevaluating how competitive some of these teams are within their classes, and maybe even reclassing them, right? Like if a lot of kids are funneling to a particular school and they're dominating a region, or alternatively, a school hasn't won more than 2 games in the past 10 years, like there's enough schools in Northern Virginia for a Herndon to go play a Parkview. Not necessarily saying you guys, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't necessarily know, like an Independence to come across and place a team in Fairfax, or like a Briar Woods or a Stonebridge who's been dominating their district for a very long time. Like, why not play, on the southern side or the northern side of the Concord district, right? Like, why not?
Yeah.
And I just think that, if we're going to make rules for individuals, like there has to be some sort of mediation on the programs itself. Like if we're saying we're going to lock down on transfers because it's the better for the program, right? Then we have to look at the full scope of where those programs are competing, how competitive they've been within those districts or within those regions or what have you. When was the last time they actually made a playoff game, right? When was the last time they won more than 5 games? Because you have a lot of have-nots and have-yachts in this area, where you're either winning 10 games, anywhere between 8 to 10 games, or you're winning anywhere between 2 to 5 games. Like there is no in between. Right. There's not a lot of teams that are going 6 and 4, and then they're going into the playoffs and like waxing the first round. There's not a lot of that. Those teams go 6 and 4, they face the first seed, and then they get a mud hole stomped in them because the difference in talent level and the difference in population in Fairfax County and the schools are so vast, right? The spectrum is so huge. You could be one weekend playing a school that has 2,400 kids, and then the next week you could be playing your rival who's right across the street and they have 3,800 kids or what have you. And it's like, how do you even determine what's good for the program if it's just individual based, or if it's coach based, if it's district based, and we're not looking at the actual success of these programs and how competitive they are, right? Why is FIBA still, Division 4
when 50 million state championships?
Exactly. Why aren't they playing? Or, why is Oscar Smith 6 and they don't play anybody, and so they make it to the state championship, but they're avoiding all the 5 competition, right?
Down the street.
Right. It's right down the street. And we all know that in the Beach and Richmond area, that's where the competition is. It's in 5. It's not in 6.
Yeah.
Right. So how does VHSL determine that? And how do they tweak that? Like, why are we only looking at one avenue and we're not looking at multiple avenues? Because Herndon, if you guys were playing in 4, if you guys were playing in 5, I think you would be a little bit more competitive than you have been, within the past 10 years, or I want to say 5 or 6 years. It would be a little bit more competitive because you'd be playing similar type of programs, not necessarily from a talent aspect, but from a population aspect, from a success aspect, right? We should reevaluate that if it's really about the program.
Why do they focus on school size?
Right.
To your point, like, let's look at the records, let's look at the statistics, let's see what they've done.
Right.
Is there a reason that we keep this team in 6? And we know that there's space in 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's one division in 5 where it's like there's like 6 teams and one.
You can go 1 and 7 and make the playoffs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Indeed.
So it's like there's room in 5 to adjust. 6 seems like it's top heavy when they could literally just say like, all right, well, you guys had a rough couple of years. Let's move you down.
Yeah.
Right.
And we see in 5 and 4 teams going up and down, but 6 is like once you're 6, they're like, okay, you're done. We're not messing with you. You're staying right here.
You can go back down and play, whoever or
Right.
whatever. That Coach Carter at Champ has been able to do that a couple of times, right? Go up and down and up and down. But
now
not a
they're
lot of
going to
Fairfax
5.
teams are doing that.
No, and I think everyone in Fairfax is a 6, but
Yeah.
there are a few that should be a 5. I think that, some of those schools, and when you even look at the playoffs, like who makes it to the playoffs, and there's, off-season talk about the Patriot District. The Patriot District is the heavyweights over there, and then you're playing against the National, and the National's like trying to scurvy through this stuff, and you're trying to get other teams in. It's like, okay, is it fair? Do we go a 4-4 split to get them in? Well, some of these teams should be Division 5. Like it should be restructured so that you find success, that you're not getting your head pummeled in.
Exactly.
And playing that over and over again to say, okay, like we're defeated, but let's get in the weight room and let's do this again. And then you look at weight room numbers all over Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, and it's like, oh, we have 15 in the weight room today. We're doing well. And I could tell you, working at Westfield the entire year, I'm leaving to come here, and I'm seeing 60, 70 guys in the weight room. Like they're 60 and 70 strong.
Those are numbers
doing the
we were
stuff
used
like
to
this.
growing up, though,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Right?
But-
Like, that's how we did it.
And they have all of those kids. So like baseball's in full swing. You have track in full swing. You have all these things in full swing, but you can still put 70 guys in the weight room.
That's right.
And then you're just sitting there and be like, oh, we're building a championship. Well, you're given a championship. You're given those things in so many, like you're going to build those things, but you have the population for that. Like you have the numbers for that. And so for us, like we're looking at it, I'll say, we have 35, 40 guys that are playing spring sports, so weight room numbers are low. And then we get the guys up, and it's like, okay, now weight room numbers are high. Now we're doing this, and we're at that 50 range, and there's like 55 guys in the weight room. There's nearly 60. Sometimes there's 60 guys in the weight room. And that's pretty much the entire team. Like we're looking at that, and we have to bring in freshmen and embed them into our program like right away to say, hey, look, you're Herndon at this point. Don't think about it as freshman football, and we're not going to put you over there. No, you got to be a part of us so that we can build something and then keep those numbers growing. But
And you
the
may
bigger
find a
schools,
gem,
for instance,
too.
yeah, you'll find a gym, and there's freshmen. We had a freshman who played up and body type wise and strength wise, like, they're not, some of them aren't there yet.
Yeah.
But, you can learn and get them sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and have a 3-year starter, and then you're starting to develop some stuff. It's just, we're not given the same opportunities at mid-level schools that some of the others are. Like I look at, it was Marshall online, and I'm looking at their stuff, and they had like 20 guys, and it says, hey, we're working hard, but it's like 20, and then you see on the caption, basketball and football are working out together. Right.
Wow.
So, but you can go ahead and look at any other weight room, and you see what that weight room is. I can tell you that Lake Braddock has nearly 100 guys in the weight room every day. That's nearly 100 guys, and they look the part, and they're bringing 100 guys out there on roster-wise and situational-wise. Like, how are those teams, like, you're trying to compete with them at that level, at that high level, but then you are where you are. But, you line up and play who you play. Of
course.
And you have to do that. And for me, like, coaching at those places, coaching at Lake Braddock and coaching at Westfield really set me up for what it's going to look like even at this level. Like, you have to go somewhere. You're going to go through your nicks, your bumps, your bruises. The first 4 games for us are going to be brutal. We come out with like Tuskegee, and then in the first 4 we have Langley, we have Chantilly, and then we have Briar Woods. Like, we have those teams like right off bat, and we just got to go out there and play. with our schedule, and it's not going to be some of the lower teams that we had played in the past. Like, we don't get the Justice anymore. Like, we don't get some of those teams, especially for the next 2 years. So how do we build on that? How do we remain, successful like we've been in the past 3 years, and having 3 playoff appearances back to back to back, and going there and losing an overtime game against Westfield, by like 3 points, and then losing to Westfield, another one, and going in there and playing really competitive versus a really good Madison team, at least for a half. But, what did Madison have? They had numbers. They had studs. They had guys. And, like, you're going to fight with them in war, and you're playing in the playoffs, and you're like, guys, we gave everything that we had. I'm proud of everyone of what you guys have accomplished. But it really starts in the weight room, and it really starts with that program. It really starts with the community building. And that's what we're doing, because, we want to look at this and say that Herndon is on one of those top tier levels, and say, like, we're up here now. Like, we've arrived, and we will strategically participate with teams that have already arrived. We went to a big man camp, and team camp, and we went to that team combo camp. There was Westfield there. There was Chantilly there. There was Centerville. There was Robinson, and there was Lake Braddock, right? Like, you're playing against the top tier teams, and you're getting your guys geared up for it. And it's not to say, hey, we're just going to go here and just take this lick. Like, all right, let's see what we can work on. Let's get stronger. Let's get better. Let's do this so that when we play the other teams, oh man, we're a lot bigger and stronger than them. Like, we lift with a purpose. Like, we come in here, and even as coaches, we jump in under the rack with them. And, even if it's during the season, like, if there's a punishment for, something that's gone wrong, like, the coaches, we're all doing push-ups, we're running with them, we're doing things. I can't tell someone to do something that I'm not going to do, especially now, like, until, like, my knees and stuff and my back give out, like, just later on. Like, okay, I can't do as much as that anymore. But, like, we try to lead by example here, and you lead by example in so many ways that you start to get these guys to the next level.
Right.
And we're still trying to do that. It's still going to be a work in progress. And I'm not perfect by all means. I'm still learning what this looks like as a head coach. I'm still learning what this looks like is in delegating and giving things. But one key thing that I did hear from 2 coaches that I previously coached for, and they were like, you know what? A lot of times when people get the job, they delegate everything right away, and then never go into something that you can't take back, right? So hold your cards really close to you. And then when you feel like everything is going in your right direction, and you're going to see the young men who are around your kids, and those who are around your kids, you delegate responsibilities to them. The ones who aren't there, they're not going to be there. But you see the program of what you want, and then you start to delegate that. He was like, X's and O's, they come and go because people move. They don't decide not to coach or anything like that. But those relationship-based and people who are in the community and people who are good characters and good men, you put them around your kid, you're going to build something. And so we build a program based off of family, based off of consistency, based off of the things that, we're doing. Like, if a kid needs something, like, we feed them. Yeah. Like, they have the Powerade drinks, they have all the other stuff. Like, we could be one of the only meals that some of our student body population gets during the day. So if we want them to perform at a high level, we got to, like, give them the nutrition. We have to do things for them that they may not get on the outside of it. And I don't think a lot of people really see what goes on behind the scenes into running the program this way. And then how do you get it to the next level? And how many miles are you putting down?
Right.
There's so many coaches that have the opportunity. They have those things. And sometimes it takes away from our family. Like, and it take away from things that we have to do. But that balance is there. And that, yes, I have family, but now I have adopted other kids that are 50, 60, 70 right. that need me for some reason. And whenever they call, like, I have to pick up and do those things for them. Or if there's somewhere that they need to go and it's going to change their life to get into a program, to say that we're going to do that, well, I'm going to do that, And so we've done a lot of that this off season and taking people around and doing that stuff. And so it really doesn't register to a lot of people, but you have to be here to know what's going on. Like, you can't be from the outside to say, oh, this is going on at Herndon, that's going on at Herndon. I heard this, I heard that. if you're not in the trenches with us, you don't really know what's going on, right? And so the best thing to do is coaches and men and everything else is to be around our student body, our population, feed them into everything we want to do, and allow them to have, the freedom to know their team and have those leadership meetings and say, like, what do you guys want within a program, but just to continue to make it successful, and so that it pours into the community and that people want to be here during Friday night games and Saturdays when we play, because we play a few Saturdays, homecoming and South Lakes, those are always Saturday games. So we have a few Saturday games, and we just want the community to come out as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming from like some traditionally strong programs, I mean, you first of all, you played high school at Robinson High School, like, and that's always been a powerhouse in this area for a very long time.
Yep.
And even if they weren't a powerhouse at some point, Lake Braddock is going to be a powerhouse. Another testament to the youth programs, right, in the area, because it kind of goes back and forth, or they're both just good. Yeah. But I've never experienced a time where both programs were suffering, right? Yeah. One was always good.
Yeah.
And then being able to coach at Westfield High School, being able to coach at what was the other high school that you said you coached at?
So I was there. I had like a small stint at Woodson.
At Woodson, okay.
But it was like I had freshman football at Woodson, and then I came back, but then ended up getting the Westfield job. So like I stayed with them for a small amount of time. It was really Lake Braddock and finding they had some good guys.
Lake Braddock, yeah.
And then being at Lake Braddock and going to Westfield and really learning and taking a back seat to learn the game. I don't think a lot of coaches do that, right? Like they want that spotlight, but they're not going to go somewhere and they're not going to learn. And to have both coaches, like I have a lot of respect for, like Coach Doc has done some great things there. And I remember I was on the offensive side of the ball, and he put me in the office one day, and he says, if you want to be like a head coach somewhere, you might want to think about like the defensive side of the ball. Right. And so there's a lot of defensive coordinators that become head coaches. And when he said that, it's like, yeah, I get it. And going over and being under Pete Bendorf because of Mark Bendorf and that whole tie within, Robinson family to Pete Bendorf, him taking me under wings and learning a lot from him, and then able to go off. Like I'd be in meetings and I would just kind of know what he was going to say at the end of it. It's like, I know what we're going to be in. I know this or that. But just to be back and forth and bounce off ideas and continue that, like it was big. And then just to take that in and to step out on my own, which was difficult to come into a program like Herndon, because Herndon was 0-and forever. They hadn't won a game in 3 years. And to say, okay, like I'm going to step out and I'm going to go here and I'm going to play here and like I'm going to coach here. It was, a lot. It was very difficult to do that. But then I was around the guys and I was like, you know what? I want to make this a home. And I had Bill Bachman, who was another strong coach who had coached forever. And I look at him as a father figure that will help me out at anything. Like, you talk about that family aspect of it. Like he brought me in with like open arms, and it's like anything that you need, like I got your back, and I could call him at any time of the night and he's there. And so looking at how he led the kids and the team that are around here, just made me want to jump in more and lead that way, because he was a great example for that. And so you have three pioneers that are going down in history, like of good coaches with Simmons and Doc and Bachman.
Right.
Like those are the biggest leaders that you have to have before stepping in and to do something on your own. And when you can run a program and you can be around people who are like that, you're going to run a program to what you envision, especially having Mark Bendorf as your high school coach, and then him to come back this off season and spend time here in our classrooms and talk to us and to me and to help me grow as a coach and always checking in, like, all the time. So it's having those people that you lead into, like it makes the transition a lot easier versus if I went somewhere and I was a coordinator and I was like, we were decent and all that stuff. And, you're around younger guys, not saying there's nothing wrong with younger guys, but football is a generational thing, and you have to learn from those who have pioneered and been there before you.
That's right.
And so learning from them had been like the biggest thing for me, and just to be able to pour into three people's views and their ideology of like how they look at the game and how they dissect the game, and how do we plan for opponents and things is really helped me at this point. And so it takes out a lot of that legwork when you talk about the X's and O's. And I said that earlier, like it we still have X's and O's, but now I can be a little bit more relationship based and bring those kids in because we already know the recipe for success. We just have to apply it in there. And just having that. But, just coming into here, like I said, it was difficult. It was, the first time coming into the doors, said this previously before we even start with this, is the first kid, he was our star running back, and is Liam Wilson. He was a star baseball player. He's off playing baseball at Maryland right now. Didn't show up, and coach is like, man, you're going to love this kid. He's like big. We don't have anything like him. Like, we don't have anything like him. You're just going to love him and love him. The first time I get to meet him, he shakes my hand, and he's like, welcome to Herndon. We're going to suck. And it was like, that was still going on there. And you're thinking that, okay, he's saying that he's our example of it. How do we pour into him to say that, like, we're going to be better? How do we pour into the next person to say that we're going to be better? How do we continue to say that we're going to be better? Because we're not going to be that and forever team that hadn't won a game in 3 years. How do we change that? And it really starts with the relationships and the people trusting you, and then to buy into that feeling that, hey, I can do this. And then once they feel like they can do it, went on that 6-game win streak and never really looked back. And I think that's how you build a program and how you learn from others.
Did the response change from him? Did he?
Yeah, it changed. Like, we lost a really close game, and it was our second game of the season. Well, we played Centerville first. And, all over social media, it's like cheerleaders saying, oh, my gosh, we're playing Centerville. We're going to lose by 50. And it was like an ongoing thing. And I'm like looking at all these feeds, and it's like this person says we're going to lose by 50. Someone says, no, they're going to get an 80 piece. Someone else is like, they're going to get a 60 piece. And they had a really good team that ended up going to the regional championship that year, and we stuck with them, and we played hard. And it's not like they had Ragland as a running back, and he didn't like really break loose on us for much of the first half. And second half, they separated a little bit because they made more adjustments than we were able to make. We were still in that learning process of the triple option and things, and we were able to sustain and get downfield. And in that next game, we played South Lakes on that Cameron Bowl, and that was a close game. It was pretty much tied the entire game, and then they break something off within the last 3 minutes of the game to take off and win. But the change that came from that, and I'll tell you, and anyone that's listening and coaches is hearing this too, if he's from South Lakes, what they said when we came out to the middle of the field and they gave that Cameron Bowl championship trophy, he was like, I like it that you guys are somewhat competitive. And said this to like both teams, like while we're in there, and he says, we won this one, and I hope that this is the game in the next few years because it was fun, right? Our kids are like, you're telling us we suck, right? So we go back into the drawing board and we win that next game, and then we go on a 6-game win streak, and like we're really rolling because the kids really bought into that. They were like, this is what people think outside of it, but no one inside thinks that. Like, none of the coaches inside think that we suck, and we're always telling them we're going to win this, or we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Let's keep pushing, keep pushing. And then to hear it from another coach that says it at the 50-yard line, like, we're looking, and I'm like, what? You know what? Let's pull our kids off to the side, because we're just told by another team that, like, we're not good, and we're glad that you were somewhat competitive, and it's not like years past. Well,
it's interesting because your star player not too long ago was like, oh, welcome, we suck.
Yeah.
Right? And then somebody else says, you guys suck. And then he gets pissed off.
And then we buy into it.
That's what got it.
Changes,
and then he turns into like the #1 rusher, and he's like regional player, district, all this
just
stuff.
went Super
Like,
Saiyan.
he's like, okay, like this is what it takes. And and sometimes it really takes that outside lens.
Yeah.
Like we have that internal battles, and you have those internal things, but it takes like an outside.
I can
something.
disrespect me, but don't you disrespect me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then you change everything that way. And so it's really good to just know that we have put those foundational blocks, and we're continuing to do the right things every day. Lift the right way, watch film, take care of our kids the right way we're supposed to, and get them out and seen in front of other coaches. Phones always blowing up with coaches and everything else, and it's football becomes like job #1, like when you have that, because it really is the time that you put in there, and you want to see things go back out the right way. And so we really push that and strive that here. And we're just going to continue to do that as long as I'm, at the head. So.
You're dealing, I mean, I think in some of the podcasts that we've done with other coaches, like they're facing a completely different challenge, right? They're facing a rebuilding as far as like the straight from the raw talent, right? These kids don't know how to play football when they're coming in.
Yeah.
What you're saying is we have to change the perception of the program.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be included in that Reston youth program. Right. We're a secondary option.
Yep.
And you guys are advocating for that, whether it's intentionally or not intentionally. Like you feed into our program, our sports program, and how much does that hurt? Not only the football program, but I can't remember that Scotty Reynolds is the last good basketball player that I know that came out of here.
So
and
for me, Danny McGrath
right.
was a defensive lineman, and
well, no, I'm talking about for basketball, right?
Basketball.
So for football, like I can't name too many, but for basketball, I know Scotty Reynolds. But if you go to South Lakes, like they have a Hall of Fame, and so like how much of the youth program is not only impacting the football program, but it's impacting all the programs, right? And one thing I like about what you're saying is like I'm not just going to develop the talent, I'm going to develop the culture.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to, and I'm not going to delegate the development of the culture. I'm going to be a face in this culture shift. Yes. Right. Whether that means taking time on a Saturday to go to where they play their youth, the football games for Reston, and talking to all of the weight classes after their games, after a big game or after a big win, or knowing where your eighth graders are and saying, okay, this is where majority of the eighth graders are. I got to talk to some heavies, so I'm going to stick around for the afternoon games and talk to the 150 pound and the 125 pound, right? Or however they're doing it nowadays. I think that's something that I don't hear a lot of coaches doing, but the coaches that are doing are seeing huge amounts of success. And if you go to a lot of the other elite sports in the area, that's the same thing that Madison is doing with the Stars. Right. That's the same thing that Madison is doing, or that's the same thing Highland is doing with a lot of these, the Stars. Right. There's a reason why Loudoun County in Northern Virginia is represented every single year in the Little League World Series. Right. It's because we have a talent pool that gets developed not only at the youth level, but at the high school level as well. And there's a collaboration. It's a highway system. Right. And so what you're talking about is taking a very bumpy road, right, and creating a highway system so that youth program can be funneled directly to you. It's taking 28 back in 99, 2000, 2001 with all the traffic lights and saying we're going to wipe these traffic lights and we're going to create off-ramps. And Herndon is going to be on one of those off-ramps. Right. And I think that's a very powerful statement that a lot of coaches aren't necessarily seeing, because you're right. They do take on these eighth graders and they say it is X's and O's. Right. One of the reasons, and I'm pretty sure you can probably relate to it, one of the reasons why I wore black and blue so proud is because Coach Skinner, probably same thing as Coach Bendo, he made me feel like the program was mine. And it wasn't just at the 9th grade level. It was at the youth level. Right. He was present at the youth level. Coach Folio was present at the youth level. They had a relationship with Coach Ruiz, right? Or Scott Galloway, who was a SYA, one of the SYA commissioners. And so there was a deeply rooted bond. If you were a Wildcat, the expectation was to ball out at every division level at the youth program. And then one day you're going to be come to this first home game of the season, and you're going to be in the stands watching the varsity football game, because that's where you're going to be here in a couple of years. And it was like that from 4th grade all the way to 8th grade. I remember going to Centerville High School football games. Right. And when Westfield opened, I was one of the, the original people who were like, I'm not going to Westfield. I'm a Wildcat. You know what I mean? And it was the culture. Excuse me. It was the culture, right? It was what Coach Skinner, what Coach Folio was able to create, what Coach B was able to create, right? What Bednarik was able to create over at Westfield, right? And I think a lot of people really make this thing difficult. It is difficult in action, right? But the process in jotting down the things that you need to be able to do to turn a program around, like you have the blueprint. right? Now it's just making it applicable. And I don't think a lot of these schools understand what the blueprint is, and so they're not hiring the personnel
to match
the blueprint that they want and succeed out of their programs. Because I look at some of these coaches that are some of these schools, and I'm like, how did they get a head coaching job? Like, how did they? And that's not to throw shade, but that's to throw a lot of shade.
At the same
You know what I'm
time.
saying?
But I mean,
Like-
to your point, right? When you got to Centerville,
Yeah.
you remember that they used to tell the freshmen, because Folio was our head coach for the first 2 years,
Yeah.
and then Skinner was the back 2 years of
Right,
my
right,
time.
right.
And we got to Centerville, and Mulhern was my freshman coach.
Yeah.
Folio would come to our practice. I better see all you guys dressed up with your jerseys on in the stands on Friday night.
Yeah.
Like, we were mandated to show up to varsity games on Friday night wearing our jerseys.
Wearing your jerseys.
Right? So we even had a little corner section. That's where all the freshmen were.
Yeah.
Sophomore year, same thing. And some of our sophomores got to dress varsity.
Yeah.
And the rest of us were there. And then junior, senior year, yeah, you were varsity. But it was an expectation
That
that
you had
as
to go
a
there.
freshman, you're showing up to the game with the expectation of not goofing off, paying attention. Now you're asking
Yeah.
a bunch of
Your ass is
squirrely-
gonna be goofing
yeah,
off. I
you're
mean,
asking a bunch of
girls are-
squirrely
yeah.
freshmen. There's
Yeah.
girls there you're going to be chasing.
But that's why they had the jerseys as well.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
you could have eyes on it, and you know that you're not going to go over there and goof off, and you're going to do those
Exactly.
things.
'Cause
And
you-
so we
your
did that
numbers
every
plastered,
your
yeah.
numbers plastered on
that
you.
number's right on there, get you in the game. You're going to sit in the stands. And so we did that at Robinson. Like, we would watch, we'd have our jerseys on, and then they would say, okay, it's 4 minutes to go in the game. Call your parents, and then freshmen meet over here at the scoreboard. We got to clean up the field.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Like, you had to clean up the field
Yes,
afterwards.
we had
Yes.
to clean
We
up
did that.
after.
Yes.
And so-
maybe you guys were the program that did that. I saw one that cleaned up the field and they went into the bleachers and started cleaning up the stands.
Yeah.
I was like,
Damn,
that's a program.
I mean, we just had to pick up the markers on the field. That's what the freshmen had to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't know people were cleaning up bleachers.
Listen.
I mean, that's respect. Though.
I was at Glory Days.
It's like you had to walk all the way through. And
we were at
that was
McDonald's
like
on the hill before they got rid of McDonald's. on the
Oh
hill.
yeah, us it was McDonald's too in Burke.
Yeah.
It's like it was right afterwards. It's like, oh, let's all go meet up over there. But it was just like looking at that and seeing how programs are structured.
Right.
And we're talking about how the structure of it. Like, you have to be at some of these programs or play for some of these programs to know that's exactly what is needed.
That's the expectation.
And
It's the
it has
bar.
to be the expectation. If you set that bar and you set it at a school like Herndon and the freshmen are involved in it, and that's why we're involved in them. Like, as soon as we got hands on them, all freshmen were here. We
Right.
kicked their butts. They did the same workouts. We were safe. We did everything we were supposed to do, and we kept it there. And it's like, you guys are going to be sore, but the expectation is that you come back tomorrow.
Right.
And then you're going to be sore. And the expectation is that you come back tomorrow. And when you come back each day, I'm going to personally greet everybody in this weight room that is here. And I'm going to ask them how they're doing this morning.
Right.
And we're going to continue that. And you're going to build into our program.
What does
And-
that
and
sound?
so, like,
What does that sound
I
like?
mean, what's that?
What does that sound like?
I mean, that's Skinner right there. That's
Exactly,
Skinner all
right,
day.
right.
But
Yeah,
that's
for him,
that-
it's probably
that's-
Bendorf
that-
all day,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, it's Coach B all day. Like it's that culture, man.
Right.
It's the culture of. I mean, you stand on the people who've come before you, right? There's that
Exactly.
saying, and so like you're seeing a little bit further than the coaches who've mentored you and have coached you. You're seeing a little bit further than them because your foundation is already set based on their, what they've instilled in you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's easy to take that blueprint, but at least you have the blueprint,
Yeah.
right? And I think that I'm not a coach, so I don't want to speculate, but I would imagine that it takes an extended period of time to even understand what that blueprint is,
Yeah.
right? Both on and off the field. Here you are coming from championship pedigree programs, and you're like, you come to Herndon, and you're like, I know how to win.
Yeah.
I know what it takes to win.
Yeah.
And we're gonna win here, and here's what we're gonna do to win.
Yeah.
Right. And so the buy-in, I would imagine the buy-in year 3, year 4 has probably been exceptional in comparison.
Well, I think transition buy-in has been a little bit difficult. Like,
Okay.
it's so.
Speak a little bit on that.
We do, like, whenever you transition, like, it doesn't matter what school it is. And I remember Doc had this problem at Lake Braddock, his transition in, and we were struggling against a really good or decent, West Potomac team early in the season, and Doc was just like upset at halftime. Like, he was just, frustrated because he was like, these guys should be winning here, but they weren't really bought into Doc until halfway through the season, and then they started to buy in. And so, like, off season, it doesn't matter when you take this job. I'm glad that Bill stepped down as early as he did, because it's kind of like been a roller coaster. You have like up and down. You'll have like a really good player is like, I don't know if I'm playing football this year. You don't know if you're playing football this year. You're a 2-year starter for us, and you don't know if you're playing your 3rd year. And so
That's
you get
so
that.
weird. That's so
Right.
strange.
Why would
It's
to
you
like,
me.
what? And it's like, okay, you started here for 2 years and you don't want to do this? Or this person's like, oh, I think I'm just going to focus on lacrosse because that is. And we preach multi-sport athletes, and we say that. But then some people are like, I just don't want to go back to sucking, so I'm going to step away. But they don't realize it's not, if they step away, then it hurts the program.
Right.
The more of them that step away hurts the program.
Right.
Those who bring in and bring in and bring in, I can't be on the sideline.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on the sideline, but you know, that's where you start to build in the younger guys that are the freshmen and sophomores. You know, they're really bought in because it's like their eyes are open. Many of them played freshman football. The other ones are incoming. So they see you, and it's like they're bought in. But it's
Right.
usually that the seniors that you struggle a little bit with. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, why am I struggling with this senior class? And why is it hard to make this? Or why do you have to come up with a million excuses? But then you have the young guys who are really bought into this. So, you know, like, we want to be the best every year. And then the seniors don't realize that we play this season for them. Like, that's the last time many of them are going to wear a helmet. That's the last time that many of them are going to put a
How
uniform
many times
on.
have you heard that speech?
Like,
Right?
the
Or
last
given
time.
it, yeah.
It's
Right.
number one go-to.
And then they're going to go off, and many of them, it doesn't matter when that last game is, they're going to end that in tears. It could be the tears of sadness. It could be a tears of joy of winning the championship. It could be all that stuff mixed in. But for a lot of them, it's going to be the last time that they wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And so when we look at that, you know, we're playing for them. Our sophomores are playing for the seniors because they get to come back. Our juniors are playing for the seniors because they get to come back.
Yeah.
And we want this to be a storybook for the seniors. So when your seniors don't buy in, and they're not buying into what you want as a transition, they're hurting themselves for that year.
Yeah.
But then everyone else under
Behind
them
them.
is going to continue. And then it's going to be like, well, why didn't we just buy in? And so you get that as many guys, and you know, you overcome it with a lot of things. But we've had a roller coaster,
I bet.
and then starting to buy everyone else in, and then going to these team camps, and now like the weight room is looking there, and then we're starting to see familiar faces that we didn't see before. But a lot of it is the new expectation that we have in the weight room, and the things that we do in the weight room is not easy. Like it wasn't like it was bad before, because it was never bad. Like, you know, Coach Granados did a good job with what the program is, but the pressure that we put on them in certain things and the expectation, you know, it's hard, and some kids just don't want to work out. It's
That's
That
really
comes from
it.
your pedigree, too.
Yeah.
it's
No,
easy
it
to say
does.
like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, but the younger guys, we don't have that issue with any of our sophomores and freshmen.
I'm trying to put myself in that position. I'm pretty sure it's got to be one of those things where if you're a senior, it's like, man, do I really want to start this over again?
Yep.
And as a freshman, you're probably thinking, well, shit, the slate is clean.
Right,
This is my
exactly.
shot to be the guy. And this is the
Exactly.
coach. He's going to be here for at least 2 to 3 years. So this is my opportunity to become his guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I can relate to both.
Yeah.
You know, I can relate to, you know, fuck, what is this guy going to have us doing? Like,
Yeah.
what is, you know, he knows we're not, you know, he knows we're not a good program. Is he going to try to drill us into the ground until we, and the answer should be yeah. Like,
Right,
yeah,
that's
what
what
you
he
were
wants.
doing before was not working. And so we're going to change the culture. We're going to change the expectations, and we're going to, yes. And maybe it's a good thing that like you're having second thoughts, and maybe it's not a good thing that you're having second thoughts, but at the end of the day, we're going to see who wants to be here, and we're going to see who wants to play for Herndon.
Yeah.
And I think that when you dig into that and when you lean into that, I think it's a lot more respectable, you know, from a player to a coach. Like, all right, you know what, he's gonna kick our ass, but I know he loves us, and I know he cares about us, and I know he's been through this. He's been through, you know, he's been through Lake Braddock. He's been through Westfield. He's been through Robinson. All of those places are really, really good places and really, really good football. So maybe, just maybe, like if I just listen to him, like I can, you know, this can all
Yeah,
change.
for me, last year, because we played against each other. You definitely played against this guy, right? But for me, we came out last year, and I didn't realize that Herndon was good
Yeah.
because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Right. For us, you talk about homecoming games on Saturday. we knew. We were like, oh, we saw the schedule every year. We're like, all right, we're playing Herndon. If it was away, we're like, all right, we're playing them for homecoming. But on the flip side, we would always schedule Herndon for our homecoming. The only year we had to worry about Herndon was our senior year with McGrath.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, like Braddock and Robinson being good. Those were the 2 games we lost our senior year. Opening against Lake Braddock, and then Game 7 against Robinson on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Where Nick threw the only touchdown to Mike Toth. That was the only touchdown we had. And Emo, we got used to Emo just running up and down, beating us up. We lost to Robinson 4 out of the 5 times we played them. Thank God the 5-time counted for something.
Well, that 5th one, I mean, that was the flu game, and it was a big one. So we came in there.
Y'all won by the flu?
I didn't even know this.
Oh,
I didn't know this.
It was the flu game.
This is
on
new
that state
information.
championship.
Don't give him fuel.
You guys won.
Game. Oh
So,
my God.
Who was sick?
So we beat you guys. It was like 20-0 that first one. We played on Halloween.
It was 20-7.
20-7. Yeah, and then one of them like scurried into the end zone.
Yeah,
Like, it
that was
like
the only touchdown that we got.
Yeah, and we were just there. And then so leading into that week, that championship week, we had Mike Emo had the flu and played, and then we had someone else. I think it was our quarterback, and then we had like we were like there were like 3 people who were sick, and then Emo was sitting there barfing and everything on the sideline, and it was like, and we were there. The game was there. We were there, and we should have beaten you guys.
It was a close game.
So it was a close
So
game.
it should have been Robinson versus Hilton, is what we're saying.
Because Hilton had all the injuries, right?
Yeah.
And we talked to Overton, and we didn't know because he's also our age.
Yeah, he was there.
I didn't know that they lost to Deep Creek before. Like I might have remembered it
they lost
years
to Deep
ago.
Creek, and
so
Daryl wasn't. That was the game Daryl wasn't playing.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So
But
you
to-
guys won that one.
But to my point, right? I get here and I'm watching, and we talked before the game, reconnected, and you're like, I'm the DC, and I'm watching your defense, and I'm like, this looks so familiar. Like I just had that feel from what I saw when you played at Robinson.
Yeah.
The way guys were lined up, the way they were attacking, I was like,
Just the mentality.
This isn't
Yeah,
Herndon.
probably just the mentality
and
itself.
I think you changed the defensive culture. To your point,
Well-
Owen forever, and then you changed that 6-game win streak. But when we showed up and got to witness it, I was like, this is not the Herndon I remember.
Yeah.
So when I found out you were head coach, I reached out. I was like, man, congratulations.
you guys are scrappy.
Right? So we expect, that you're going to be super competitive.
Yeah.
It's not going to be we got Herndon on the schedule anymore. It's going to be, oh, shit, we got Herndon on the schedule.
And the talent is there, man.
Yeah, it is.
Because the
It is.
talent
It
is there
is.
because
Talent.
you probably have people going across Barron, just I'm gonna choose South Lakes or I'm gonna choose, and so to see the success that you're having, now granted South Lakes is having some success too that we haven't seen and it's been unprecedented for a long time, right?
Right.
I think the culture is definitely shifting in this area, and man, what a great opportunity that you guys have to turn it around, because I think there needs to be more competition in the Concord district.
Absolutely.
I think there needs to be more big. I mean, I love Madison and I love what they're doing over there. I mean, they have the granddaddies of the Mickey Thompson tree up there, pretty much, and it shows. It shows in the buy-in. They have a fervor fan base, who comes out and goes wild and has been going wild since the freaking 60s and 70s out there for their football program. They have a phenomenal youth program. Vienna
Their youth
is
program is everything.
everything.
Their youth
Everything.
program is everything.
That's a great filter they have, but it comes right into their system.
And it's either, and I fully expect for Oakton to have a turnaround too.
Oh, Oakton's going to be good.
Yeah.
I've been saying it, like Slay is doing a great job over there. They're going to be really good. They follow his lead, and a lot of people don't realize that, I was in that final interview competing with Slay for that Oakton job, and he ended up getting it, and they gave it to the right person for that program because he's doing great things, and I have nothing but respect for Slay and what he's doing there. But it's like he's turning that program around, and they were competitive, and they just missed the playoffs last year. And they were competitive, and there were some things that he had to do. And he was like, and he's one of the people, he's like, the keys, you give the keys too fast and you got to pull that stuff back. It's hard. And that's a younger coach coming from that. So not only hearing it from older coaches, youngers, but you were saying something about homecoming and everyone scheduling homecoming. That first year when I was here, we were on everyone's homecoming. We had 4 homecomings in a row.
Wow.
So we called ourselves the homecoming killers because we were just like waxing through them, and we would just celebrate that. We were like, oh, we just ruined another homecoming. We ruined another
Really?
homecoming. That next year we only had one team that scheduled us as a homecoming.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
Herndon,
Like,
Herndon,
Right. Herndon don't look so good no more.
Yeah, they was like, oh, like let's get this win.
Edison made that mistake my senior year, and I about went batshit crazy in the locker room.
But that was how we felt. Like,
Yeah.
we were like, why is Herndon scheduling us for their homecoming game on a Saturday?
Yeah.
And it was like a mission to come out here and be like, nah, like we're gonna ruin your homecoming.
You know, Skinner. Nobody schedules us for homecoming.
That's exactly how he went off. That's exactly how he went off.
Realistically, he was like, I'm out here on a Saturday. This is unacceptable.
I got kids games to watch.
Oh man! And those Saturday games, they work well for us, but they don't work well for other teams. We had one coach come in and it's like, well, we're playing for a district championship next week. Why do you guys have us on a Saturday? Go ahead and get your butt whooped over here. And then you guys are not playing for that district championship anymore. So
We as players loved it because after that Friday, we knew that Monday was now going to be a lighter day. When Monday and Tuesday were heavy, keel down on Wednesday, and then Thursday was shells.
Hell nah. Man, no.
Right?
Like, that's
So-
not what we had. Skinner was
No,
killing us.
Skinner
dog.
gave us
My
Mondays.
God.
Mondays was light. Then Tuesday, Wednesday was heavy, and then Thursday was your Wednesday, and then Friday was your shells, and then Saturday was game day.
No.
no.
Skinner said to us, state championship team, did 150 up downs after a Saturday game. I was like, all right, I guess we're doing 150 up downs.
Bro, Josh will tell you because we went through transition as well, so we understand. But we fought as we were juniors at the time, and our seniors and the juniors. We got together. And we went to our then principal, rest in peace, Pam Blatt, and we're like, we don't want anybody coming into our program.
Yeah.
Put Mike Skinner at the helm, and the seniors, they were fighting because they're about to bring somebody in from the random. We're like, either it's going to be Skinner or it's going to be Hamilton. Like, one of these two need to be our coach. Like, we're not bringing someone in to change the structure. So we fought to get Skinner, and it worked and everything. But Skinner's first year, he says 150. That was senior year, which was the state championship team.
Yeah.
Bruh, we did, the max we did our junior year for up downs was 375.
Nah.
It was ridiculous. Like, they're just blowing whistles, and we have to count it.
You know, the thing I give to the players is we do those things, but it's up to them to say what that number is. So we hold them accountable, but like, okay, we're running right now. How many are we doing? And everyone comes up with it together and they say it. So like, it's ownership on them. I'll jump in there and do it. I'm not like 20 anymore. I'll run with you and do some of those things, or those up downs, or we got the push-ups and setups, but we give them the number. So we still hold them to that example that saying that like we're going to do things and we're going to condition that way and we're going to work out, but we give them the number. They make the best
I think
of it,
that
so.
3-something was because that, and no disrespect to any of those seniors, you guys, I love you guys, but the offense wasn't the best offense we ran.
Yeah.
And I think like we had to fight to win a lot of our games. Now we still won games and we were still good, made it to regional state semis that year, but I think he had to beat us into a pulp and drain us. So here you go with it. Here you go.
All right, man.
He loves to call us center field.
We got a black quarterback.
No, I'm talking about.
He's from Parkview.
Nah.
That's what changed your program.
I mean, look, we had this crazy offense.
He's from the hood. We're gonna be great, guys.
Oh man! And then you guys had that spinner back. It was like, "Welcome to Diesel," and I'm like, "Man, if I have to hear that."
You have a 240-pound fullback and a
He
kid.
was-
Look, I can't speak to this. Okay, I'm not even gonna shade my senior team because we did what we had to do.
You guys worked hard, man. You guys set the
But
precedent.
junior year was, I think it was like, we're gonna condition the living hell out of you to make sure you can survive, out survive every team you play.
Yeah.
And conditioning junior year, we were dreading going into senior year because of our junior year conditioning. And I remember, Josh will tell you, we were doing conditioning, we were like, that's it? We're like, that's really it? Because
Yeah,
the
he
year
reali-
before, he beat the dog
He
out of
realized he
us.
couldn't run you into the mud, and so that's why he got his quarterback.
Oh yeah, he had his quarterback.
At least,
He was a good quarterback. I mean,
at least
he
he
was
did.
great,
At
man.
least
Rest
he
in
brought
peace,
him in
yeah.
junior year. Rest in peace, Nick. He
Yeah.
passed away. You know. But at least he brought him in junior year, so he was eligible to play. There was none of that. sneaking in bad paperwork. Here you go again.
I don't.
Here you go again. Look, Robinson.
It's like we saw him at a 707. We were down at North Stafford.
Yeah,
we saw
I
him
remember
down there.
that.
He like pops up with his old high school stuff on, and then there's like all this stuff. He's like, I'm just living with my grandma now. Oh, you're living with your grandma, Nick? No, that's not it.
Crazy
So,
because he
like,
lived with his stepmom. She
it
had
was
a
like,
townhouse.
I don't
Here
know.
you
It was
go.
like,
Here you go.
I don't know, because I know that he was probably taking that 28 trip all the way back out to Parkview.
Oh, he
afterwards.
definitely would go visit his friends at Parkview. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But he had a townhouse in Centerville, so I mean
Yeah.
it was legal.
He was there. They made it legal. You know?
Yeah.
I know the
Yes,
real
they-
estate
they
agent
made
who
it.
got it for him.
They made it legal. But
I mean, look.
he was a good quarterback, and they ran that spinner stuff. But it was always tough getting the diesel down. It was like diesel.
Yeah.
And you got to think like he's
four-
pushing 300.
Yeah,
and I'm
4
thinking,
yards. 4 yards of pop is hard to stop, man.
4 yards
Yeah.
of pop. It's like this. He'd spin around and go, and then like you just have to meet him. I had to meet him on one play. I just took out his knees. My neck was hurting on the side. I said, I can't keep doing this. I'm like 165 pounds soaking wet
It's
right
so
there.
true.
It's like all this stuff.
It's so true.
And
Watching
then he
him
get back
play.
up
Yeah.
and then say some stuff. And then like he was like, yeah, that hurt. And I was like, shut up, bitch. And I was like, it's like and then like we're going at it. It's like back and forth.
That
But
was
it's
always
like,
it.
he was just. But
you
Nick
guys-
Smith was the biggest talker.
Nick's super trash talker.
Man,
On and off the field.
he used to piss us off. We were
Oh,
like,
my
man,
God.
No, Nick Smith was the worst. Like when y'all won that state championship, it was ours, and they had to win it again after. That was our state championship year. We had to win it the next year.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember
That was
because
my freshman
I
year.
went back
Like
to
that.
Centerville because I was working at Best Buy at the time,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Damn, the games! I need to get off work. So I like begged my boss to get off work because I wanted to get to Centerville to watch the because we won on your field,
Yeah.
and then you guys are now playing us on our
Toasted us,
field,
bro.
And I get there and I'm like, looking at the score, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it wasn't the same.
Nah.
And
I knew it wasn't the same Centerville team just because there was a couple of games that were close that shouldn't have been close.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Because you were in the.
I was a
I was
freshman
coaching
that
the
year.
freshmen, but I wasn't at the varsity. But you saw more because you were in the school. What
Yeah.
do you think was the reason as to what the were they as tight knit? Because I know you guys.
No, man.
were
I just think
tight-knit.
I think when you have that amount of build up in success, but not necessarily getting over that tipping point, and then you get over that tipping point, I think
people relax.
Yeah, I think people relax going into the off season. I think that you let your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
I think that you guys not being scored on in the district and them blowing out the entire district the following year, I think that hurt. The wake up call for me, sitting in the stands as a freshman, was that 10-7 Westfield game. I'm like, here's a program that isn't even at full tilt yet.
Yeah.
And this is a state championship team.
That was
With
shocking
a
to me, too.
majority of their starters have returned.
Yeah.
And they only beat this team 10-7, and this team can hardly beat TC Williams a couple weeks ago. No disrespect to TC Williams. But that's when I realized like we might be in trouble. And you saw it in the first quarter from the stands, in my
Yeah.
opinion. You just saw it from the first quarter. We were not setting the edge the way we needed to. Mike Emo was running wild.
Oh,
He was running
what's
wild.
he was like a
what-
man
And then-
child his senior year.
that's
And
what
then
he
y'all
did.
had this crazy white boy at quarterback, and he was killing us on the triple option.
Yeah.
Because that's the game Mike Emo hurt himself. He got hurt. He got stretchered off the field in the first half.
Yeah.
And white boy took over. Him and Chase Anastasio, just young Chase Anastasio was just
Chase was killing it.
You remember
It's
this?
like in there.
Our freshman year, we were at the regional finals at South Lakes because that's when everyone played at South Lakes in regional
Yeah.
finals. And we were freshmen. And I'll never forget it, seeing the look on our seniors' faces after they just lost to Marcus Howard and Marcus Giannakis. Like, I'll never forget those two names.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they are like ingrained in my head.
Marcus
Marcus
Howard
Howard was a dog.
A dog. Yeah, I remember watching
dog.
Marcus Howard play. Like it would be like, oh man, this is Robinson. This is where I'm going. And then you had Eugene was there at the wing back and everything. Like there were some big bruisers and going over there and playing that state championship year. Like I always look at it and we talk about like some of the best teams. I do think that 2002 Robinson probably goes down as one of the best teams in this
Absolutely.
area. Like
Absolutely.
I don't see too many other teams there, but then you look at like where those championships are. I think that was probably the best team that this region has seen in a long time. Like you've had really good Westfield teams. You've had really good, Centerville teams. You've had, Madison has come up, and they've had their dog at running back for the past 2 years, and has really done things over there. But it doesn't compare to what Mike Emo and them did there. Like, there was one game, I'll tell you, my brother was a sophomore, and he had to start when they played West Potomac, and they're playing for a district championship. They're playing West Potomac for a district championship, and there's all these suspended starters. Emo suspended, Kerry Wade suspended. Like, think you had Vaughn, like, all of these guys are suspended, and it's like, why did they get suspended? Well, they went to a party and someone put some picks up and all that stuff. So Coach Bendorf was like, we're not going for this, suspended them all. They started that game with sophomores for a game that was like a must-win. They were undefeated, and they had their JV team run up and down the field on the West Potomac team. That lets you know when they were full strength, I mean, they're walking into the end zone. Like, it's like every other carry is like, touchdown, Mike Emo, touchdown, Mike Emo.
They were machines. You guys were machines.
And it really started into, like, why we do the things that we do here structure-wise, because, you know, it really takes that recipe, and then, like, you know, Skinner saw it, and a lot of other teams that saw it, but, like, it even gets into the championships. There's only a few regional championships or champions from this side of it, and you can count them all on one hand, like, of the champions that have actually won on this side of it. So how do you become the next champion? Like, we've seen Westfield go to the regional championship, but they went to the regional championship like 12 years. Yeah. You're like, how do you go that long within regional championships? You have the others, you know, Madison being as strong as they are and winning regional championships. And, like, you have these teams. There's only just a few regional championships, and they all come from that Concord side. They're not coming from our Liberty side.
Correct.
And so we have to play Concord type ball. And so that really comes in from Robinson and what was done at Robinson. Like, how do we do things at Robinson? How do we structure this at Robinson? And listening to those guys. And you guys talk about Skinner and just really knowing how, like, he is. I look at Mark Bendorf as, you know, he was a father away from the field, like on the field, but then, like, away from that in so many ways. And so just having him as a mentor and all that stuff. But I really looked up to him because, you know, there were a lot of things that I was going through, like, outside of school, you know, going back and forth between, like, mom and dad's, and I would spend more time with mom, and, you know, we'd be like, you know, dad was there and he had the address and we went to school there, but, like, you know, a lot of times wanting to spend time with my mom, going over to Woodbridge and Dale City and making that hike to Robinson. He knew that we were going through a lot, and then that, like, I was staying away from home or Burke a lot more than anything else. And, like, he would just really bring me into the office and just check in on me and be like, hey, how's everything going? Like, you know, how's mom going and all these things. And, you know, mom's working a few jobs and she's doing things, but we really wanted to be there for her as much as possible and not really stand there. So I think a lot of that stuff, he really brought me in and kept me with the team, because I could have strayed away and I could have gone, like, so many other things and saying, like, you know what, this is not for me. But that's what I want to be for the model of the kids that we have here. And that's what kind of ties into it. And I could talk to Bendorf, and we literally just talked, you know, 2 days ago. Like, and so you continue to have that relationship, and I want to have those relationships with the players that are here. And that's what I look at coaching as, that model. Right. And it really comes in from the old guys that you're saying. You're saying, like, okay, who are these old guys? How are they pioneers? Like, how are they changing programs? Like, it's not just show up when there's practice time. Okay, I got to go home.
It's not just conditioning. It's not
just, like, you have to build relationships with these kids, and you can't just build a relationship because you have a fucking title.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, I can't give you a title just for you to want to be here to build a relationship with someone. Like, you should want to do that on your own, because that's the most important thing that these kids need. A lot of them need structure.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them come from, you
broken
know, it's
homes.
not broken homes and divorced families and going through some of those things. I knew that firsthand. So Bendorf taking me in to be that role model and saying, like, okay, now it's time for me to give back and do those things. Now it makes me want to do that. And I want to do that because I know that was poured into me, versus saying, like, oh, I just want to call this.
It's just a number,
like, no, like, you can leave that off to the side. Like,
that's
part of be here.
That's part of it.
The blueprint.
That's part of the blueprint. Yeah. Right. All the coaches, all the good coaches that we've ended up having on this podcast have said that it's about relationships. It's about the kids. It's about advocating for them. It's about being that secondary father or that only father in their life. Right. Exactly. And so, you know, on the topic of parenting, like how do you get the parents to buy in? Like what is the message that you send to parents on on their first day? You call the first parent meeting. Hey,
Yeah, I mean, we had a parent meeting, and so we're going to have another one at the end of summer. But we have like a really good booster program, and we have parent buy-in that they really love being around, and so like that. But you don't have some of your key guys, their parent structure, and the things like you're the one forking out miles. Like I can tell you that I've driven up to Penn State a number of times. I've driven up to Monmouth a number of times. Like I've driven to multiple places a number of times to take some of our most needy kids to say, hey, this is what a scholarship looks like. This is what free education looks like. We're going to do that for you, even if your mom can't do it for you, right? And even looking into that, like when I was at the youth ball and being like with youth ball and having some of those kids that are all playing college football now, like I'd say the biggest example of that would be JT, like who's at James Madison now. Like he was at Westfield and some of the others and kind of followed suit, but like mom didn't drive, like he had to walk. So we knew that anytime that we needed him somewhere, he needed a family structure that was going to, drive him around and do some of those things. And we have a lot of players who are like that are in our building that will maybe not come to us for certain reasons, one or another, but that's probably it, because it's like, I don't want to put too much of a burden on, or maybe I have to work these extra hours and do that. So we really work with our players. I had one parent that says, my son has to work such and such hours per week. And I was like, we can make this work. Like, you let me know what hours he has to work, I will make everything else work. Right. Well, some coaches will be like, well, if you're not here 100% of the time, like you're off and you're kicked off to the side. Well, that's that little style, reasonable. And that's not going to be reasonable to today's kid. No. So if today's kid wants to be successful and they have to do some things, let them know they have to do a few things. Like, and that's going to be it. All right, let's get that done. And so when you get parent buy-in, I think that parents really trust you when you do some of those things. But there's a lot of parents that I hadn't seen, and I still take on their kids. And like their kids are with me, and we're going on this road trip and coming back, and I'll drop them off. And there's a few that I haven't seen. But that doesn't stop me from continuing to do what I'm serviced to do, and that's to be the head coach. That is to be an example for them, and that has men leading men. Like, if we're men leading men, then we're doing something for the next generation, and after that, because they get to that. And you got to know, some of these parents or some of these kids have never heard a man's voice. Like, they haven't heard a male voice, so they don't know how to take discipline and structure and things from another guy.
That's so true.
Without kirking out on or how they would say crash out. On there, it's like they're going to crash out.
They don't know how to take constructive criticism.
Don't know how to take that, and then they get into an example of like, I have an attitude. Let me go over here and pout, or let me throw my helmet. And no, get back over here and let's talk about this, because you're going to go in the real world and someone's going to give you some hard challenges, and someone's going to say something that is going to piss you off, and then you're going to have to sit there and be like, yes, sir. And you're not going to be able to throw punches or
endure
else.
The consequences.
And yes, you have to look at that, because then you're going to be jobless. You're going to be in jail. You're going to have so many other things going on because you do not know how to take criticism from another guy that's telling you this. And I think that's what football does. And it does that for a lot of these people who have these broken homes, and we have to be that. And that's why it gets into the relationship piece. Like, if you can be here for the kids, you can be here for this program that I'm leading. Because if you can show that you're going to be there for them, and you're going to love them, and you're going to do things to make them better people in this world, and it's not just X's and O's and wins and losses on the field, then we've done something. But if we're going to continue to say, I'm only going to show up if I get to do this or if I get to do that, well, then walking papers, like, you can do that, and it's okay. And I don't really like take it hard to it. Like, we've had coaches that left us. I wish the best for every coach that has walked out here to find something because they need something in their life at that time. But the people who've brought in and that we've brought in has been Herndon and family and structure, and they've gone to camps, and we've done that, and we've gone to IHOP to feed these kids afterwards, because it's like, hey, did you eat some breakfast before going to this camp? Oh, no, sir, I didn't have that. Man, let's pull over this car. Let's go get some breakfast for them. Let's eat something so that they can be their best that they can be. No, coach, I don't want to eat that. Order something. Let's do that. And we have men in this program that do that for each and every one of our kids. And that's why, like, I like being surrounded by the people and the coaches that we have. And I think that, you buy into that and they buy into those hard successes. Not only is it just about football, but they're learning how to talk to one another. They're learning to criticism, but they're learning how, like, to show the compassion side and things like that. Like men, we can have empathy.
Yeah.
Like we can show that side of it, and it doesn't have to be this hard shell all the time and we're walking around that. Like we can have conversations with you. We can talk about life lessons and things that we've gone through, because, you know, you grow through all the things that you go through.
Yeah.
And I always say that. I say that to the kids all the time. I said, we got to do stuff to get one day better, but we grow through the things that we go through.
Yeah.
And so you're going to go through some things. How do you pick yourself up after that?
That's so true. You said a couple of things that were awesome, man. The first thing you said was, and I want to touch on this, is, you know, you said some of the parents that you haven't been able to meet are coming from the key guys in your in your program.
Yeah.
And I think there's some like psychological thing that goes into that.
You're gonna catch that.
Yeah, because you need your dogs, right?
Yeah.
But your dogs mostly come from hardship.
Yes.
Right? Because soft times create weak men.
Yes.
Right?
Hard
Soft
times.
times create soft men. Right? And soft men create hard times. And you know that whole bit. And just touching on some of my childhood, Dave Chappelle has a great bit where he says, you know, he grew up in Silver Springs, Maryland.
Yeah.
And he grew up his parents did well enough for him to grow poorly amongst white people.
Yeah.
That's the same thing I grew up in Centerville, right? But because I grew up in some of those hardships and because I struggled more than my peers, mentally I knew I could dominate them on the football field.
Yeah.
I knew it was very easy to get under their skin. I knew it was very easy to turn them sideways on, you know, mentally, and I could get into their head by the end of the first quarter. And I got them locked for the rest of the game. Yeah. And it didn't matter if it was basketball, it didn't matter if it was football, it didn't matter if it was in the classroom, whatever. Like as soon as I'm in your head, like it's over for you.
Yeah.
And some of those guys that you're talking about that have the hardship, I think organically they are your dogs because they're going through those hardships.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to be dismissive as a coach and say, you know what, you're just not bought in. You know what, you're just a piece of shit. Yeah. Right? You know what, you don't come from a good family and I don't need you on this program because I don't need that toxicity. Yeah. And I'm hearing it from programs that I once became, you know, were a part of, right? That are buying into these kids or not buying into these kids and then wonder why they have 8 transfers at the end of an off season.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it goes without saying, like, the people who come from some of those pedigrees but also have the blueprint, they know how to harness that perceivably negative energy and say, no, I'm going to be the bridge in your life.
Yeah.
I'm going to bridge that gap between hardship and success. And this is how you do it, young man.
Yeah.
Right? Learn from me the things that I wasn't able to do, also the things that I became successful at. Like, there's a blueprint for this, and I just didn't make it up. I came from pedigree. Yeah. Right. And there's just so many, like, there's that what you said just there has so many layers. Yeah. Right.
Because we need a whole other podcast.
To unpack that because a lot, and it comes to relationships, like you said, right. Because there's so many things that I see online. There's so many things that I see on forums where a lot of these coaches are talking negatively about these kids. Yeah. And they know their situation, but they don't have the capacity, or they're not equipped to handle some of these kids. Yeah. And that's where I think a lot of the disconnect comes from in some of these programs. It isn't necessarily that the talent isn't there, is that the talent isn't able to be harnessed because you don't have the right personnel there, back to what I said in the beginning, right? Yeah. Right. And man, I am just so excited for what you're doing at Herndon, and just hearing you talk and just hearing you express yourself, knowing where you came from and where you're rooted from. Like, I can get down with that shit, bro. Like, I can get down with people who are truly invested in their community, and it doesn't matter what program I'm taking over because I know who I am and I know where I came from. Yep. And I'm gonna paint all of these walls the way I want to paint them, and people are gonna buy in. And so for you to have that focus both on and off the field in the community, in your internal micro community, but also the macro community that is Herndon, right? I just think that's super powerful. And if you could write a book, bro, you can get like testimonies from all the coaches in this area that have had an influence on you, and be able to give their testimony on what it means to change a program around. Like, I think you've seen it firsthand over and over and over again. You've seen what good looks like, and you've seen how it's applied appropriately. And I'm pretty sure you've seen and how it's not applied appropriately.
right.
And so and you're still, generally young in your coaching career.
Yeah.
So for you to have that opportunity to start at your age and say, you know what, for the next X amount of years, I'm going to have this type of impact on these kids' lives, regardless if I went to the school down the street or regardless if I played somewhere else. I think I think we just need more people like that in this area. And we need more people who are, because they're all being harnessed in one program, or maybe 3 programs or 4 programs, right, in this area. And it's easy to go to those programs and have an impact on an already established program, but it's hard to
build a program.
Program and root yourself, right? It's like going on NCAA and picking the 1 star when you're creating your own school, and that's what you're doing. Not necessarily at Herndon is the 1 star, but in comparison to where you've been traditionally, right, it could be perceived that way.
Right.
And I just think it takes a lot of balls, man. I think it takes a lot of nuts to grit up and say, nah, man, we're going to create a citadel over here.
Yeah.
And by the way, why the fuck aren't you representing my high school, bro?
That's what I love.
Why aren't you representing my high school?
I'm gonna roll up to the other team. Like, why are we not represented here?
Can we get the Reston Hornets, bro? Like, what is going on? I love that shit, man. I love
it. I said we need the Reston Hornets, and so they said they're going to have, a conversation about it. We'll see it,
man.
but if not, like, we're going to get the Herndon Hornets back here in youth football.
I love that.
And we're going to build that stuff up, and we're going to continue to build from our youth that we can influence from the lower on up and have representation in black and red. So if they don't give it to us, we're going somewhere else, and it's just like walking papers from there, and we got the guys for it. So
who do you guys got out of conference this year?
So we start off with Tuskegee, game 1. I know that they have, a strong program, and they're really good there. So it's a juggernaut, to play them week 1. And then, we have our first conference game going into Langley, who we haven't beaten, I think in like 9 years or something crazy like that. And so wow,
I did not know that.
Our last game we played them, it was like 18-15. They had like a few things. We had a blown coverage, all that stuff, and then they just milked the clock.
They got a new coaching staff over there too, don't they?
New coaching staff too.
Not because of we're not going to get into that, but they got a new coaching staff over there too.
They have a new coaching staff. It's the same defensive coordinator now.
Okay.
He took over last year, and now he's like he was an interim head coach. Now he's the head coach.
Okay.
We have Chantilly. They've gotten a lot better. They have a dog at running back. So we know that we're going to have to stop that and see if we can put some points on the board. Then we have our first home game, and it's going to be Briar Woods. So we play Briar Woods.
Too, yeah.
And then we play on Saturday, and we have South Lakes.
But
South Lakes every year. Yeah. And then that's the run. Like South Lakes is our non-conference game, but we play for that Barron Cameron Bowl. And I didn't even know that they created that bowl because there were, 2 teams that wouldn't win for years. And then they were like, oh, let's just come up with our own bowl game because, they're bad, we're bad, and let's come up with this. But now it's become something that's like very impactful because both teams are playing for something, and it's that pride within there. We share a lot of the same areas and things. And so it's here. It's going to stay here. And it's in my office, and we're going to keep that here. But that's just one thing that we want to continue to do and to win that, even though they're going to be a dog of a team to play. And then it's just, district game. It's like I think that Wakefield, Clarence is doing some great things there. They have some speedy guys. He's doing things right with their middle school guys, so they're going to be good. Yorktown has a new coach, but they come from the same things that they've always had before. So, the season is going to be a tough one, and it can be a roller coaster of a season. But hopefully, with the new playoff structure, it's 4-4 now. So we get 4 from our district. Concord gets 4 from their district, and then we go to the playoffs that way. Hopefully, we can just finish in the top 4. So it doesn't really matter what out of conference looks like. We can still learn and be competitive and things like that. But in conference, we really want to dominate, take it to that next level, go to the playoffs full gear and win some games. And so that's what we want.
And you guys are Liberty now, right?
We're Liberty.
So you guys get matched up in region with Concord?
Yes.
Okay.
So 4 teams from Liberty and 4 teams from Concord. And that's what I was talking about. Like, you were saying like the other teams, the Patriot side, I think there's like, 6 that go from one side and, just the others because the national hasn't been that strong. And when you look at that, you're going to say, okay, our best national teams are going to play against like the number 4 Patriot team, and the Patriot team's probably going to win that game
right within
their top 4. So There were questions around that. I don't know how they structured it, but theirs is probably a little bit different. They're not 4-4. They're
Right.
even slate like we are, but we've had representation and we've had teams playing the championship game. So it really helps us out. We're continuing to grow with the Liberty. I think Liberty is one of the fastest growing districts too.
Okay.
So
I'd really like to
very
see
competitive.
the Liberty and Concord and district really start to play those Prince William teams, man.
Yeah.
Like I would really like to see more of like a I know they're playing this year like a Madison Battlefield
Yeah.
matchup. Like I would love to see that matchup. I would love to see you guys play like more of like the Colonial Forges of the world, or
Yeah.
like I would love to see you guys play like a Gainesville or something like
We
that.
scrimmaged Gainesville. And There's
Yeah.
some big boys last year.
Oh yeah!
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That fun? Like,
That's my area. I live out in Bristol. I see all those kids at the gym. They're,
Yeah.
there's some steak eating fools down there.
Yeah.
They are.
But we talk about
yeah.
neighborhoods too. So right, like I can go down the street and I could see everyone at every park, and they're kicking a soccer ball, right?
Yep.
I can go to Gainesville because my uncle lives in Gainesville, and every time I go to one of those parks,
Go to Gainesville Middle School.
they all have
Yep.
cones, and
Yep.
you see footballs being thrown. You don't see soccer balls being kicked. Everyone has a football. There's like 10, 15, 20 of them. They have private trainers. They're working out.
Yep.
They're doing that. Like they're all playing football. But we can go here, it's like soccer. Like you can go somewhere else, it's we're lacrosse. They're very heavy with the football game.
They are.
And with those three schools, they're going to continue to be really good. You
Yep.
know, the Battlefield Patriot in Gainesville.
They set it up.
Wars in there.
Yeah, they set it up really good.
Yeah.
really well for those
That area.
those three schools to get the population that they want, because
Yeah.
Gainesville gets a lot of kids from that Gainesville Manassas area.
Yeah.
Battlefield gets a lot of like that Haymarket Gainesville area, and then
Bristow is
Bristow
where
and
Patriot,
yeah,
right.
Bristow Gainesville is where Patriot is, and then if you live out further into the country, you have Brentsville District to choose from, and there's one out there in Kettle Run, and both of those programs are pretty good.
Yeah.
So they play at a lower level and lower competition, but for the Sticks, that's good football out there, man.
Yeah.
And so to your point, yeah, I feel like the competition out there is very high because the coaches out there understand that they're going to have an influx in population, and so they use it to their advantage. I don't necessarily know if Gainesville youth football is popping like that, but I do know there's a lot of travel teams out there.
Yeah.
Where it be 7-on-7 travel teams, whether it just be like your PME influence or what have you, or like your AYFL influence. You have a lot of teams out there, youth teams out there that are traveling, taking kids all over the place.
Those things are popping up everywhere now.
Yeah, everywhere. Do you feel like maybe like creating a Herndon League isn't the most beneficial route, but maybe creating a Herndon Travel League would be beneficial? Like if you could take some aces and some coaches and bring them around the state or the country and play high level competition. Like, have you ever factored that in or considered that?
We've talked about it. So like just with I can't even say it.
Preliminary,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Tongue tied right now.
Yeah.
But with all the thought process out there, just saying like this is what we want to do, and this is what we have to have some representation. That did come up, and so we were saying like, okay, how do we do this and then structure this in a way to where you're getting guys and so many things about like, and I think that they changed it, but youth football around here with the weight classes,
Yeah.
they don't do well for our athletes that are sitting in trash bags and running around trying to make a 90-pound weight or an 80-pound weight, 100-pound. Like if we can do something that's travel and allow, the bigger kids who can't afford to play somewhere
More
to play,
age-based, yeah.
and more age-based and, get a travel team, that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Because I think that FCYFL, they have a lot of restructuring to do, but I haven't really been like, hip into whatever they've been doing with all that stuff. I mean, they could have structured it differently. I think that they may have a middle school ball this year, but it should be across the board. The younger kids are still starving themselves to go weigh in somewhere to go play football.
That was me.
And,
Yeah.
I remember those days. It was kind of like put this sweat butter on.
Yeah.
And, all right, now you got here, got the heat blasted up.
Yep.
And I was like, it's
running up
okay.
and down the Lake Braddock
It's like-
stairs
Yeah.
to lose some weight.
You chewing gum and then spitting it out. Like, don't swallow anything. Just keep chewing and spit. And then you're down there, and then you got to weigh in just your underwear, and
Yep.
you got some wet draws, and you got some other ones that are on the other side. I mean, I remember those days, and it's not really good for their health or anything like that. So I think that
I
we
still
have
have
to
body
structure.
dysmorphia from it. Yeah.
Like, man, I mean, be there and then you start gaining that weight, and you're just like, okay, now you made weight, start drinking water, and you try to go back to eat, and then you throwing up on the side because they want to give you some pancakes and everything else from IHOP and say, oh, we made weight, we're good.
Yep.
Play for some damn American team, you know, at BRYC and stuff. We were good, you know, we were good, like playing those DC teams and going out there and playing them. But it's a struggle, so we have to see like how we can make that better. You know, for all families and everything else. Like if we want to continue to grow the sport, the good thing is now that there's women that are, you know, playing with the flag football league that popped up. So we're going to have high school football for girls for the flag football and that representation.
Man. I love that.
That's good. I mean, this fall is going to be the first realm of it. I think, you know, we have, I know Robinson and a few others, they have their teams, and there's going to be like tryouts. So you're going to have a 707 league. They're going to play against other high schools.
The NFL is really pushing for it, man. They really want more representation, and well,
have to.
I mean, their number one viewer is not men. Like I don't know if anybody knows that, but it's not men, it's women, right? And so how do I get more women eyeballs? Because women are the ones who, you know, they're the ones who make the TV, the viewerships increase, and so on and so forth. Like. Yeah, so I didn't realize it was touching Northern Virginia that deep.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know that they had something at Woodson. It was like a big day. Rain, like, lowered some of the numbers and all that stuff. But they still had a good turnout of girls and young ladies who want to play the sport. So continue with that. And you know, we can do that. Like, if you know, you're just going to see that grow. Yeah. And you're going to have, like, state championships and regional championships of flag football from – you know, girls competing from different schools. I think it's going to be great.
I think it'll be great too.
That's going to be awesome, man. I'm excited to see what you do this year, man. Like, I know we want to pop out and check it out and see what's going on with you. But man, it's been a while since they've been good. So it's nice to have someone with your passion, pedigree, you know, blueprint, come in here and kind of like shake it up, and then now we're throwing in females in the mix. So
yeah, it is. So, you know, just grow the sport. Like all this stuff has been great. So
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap this bitch up.
Yeah, brother.
All right. You want to plug yourself in, Coach? Twitter handles, Instagram handles, OnlyFans, whatever. You sell your feet pics.
You can go to It's Coach Richards on Instagram. I have that one over there. So, like, that just popped off on some stuff. I mean, you know, like, you can follow me on that and Herndon_football. You know, like, we have some good things that are there. We're growing that fan base, and I think that Instagram is really taking off for us to grow our fan base. You know, starting off that page, we had like 120 followers, and now we're up at 1,500, 1,900, something like that. So just continuing that way to put some stuff out there. But, you know, I'm on that page more than I'm on my own personal. But you can follow that one and see some little gems of something.
We can relate to that, definitely.
But it'd just be the gems. It's not too much of that, and I'm just trying to wear so many hats that I'm not on my own social media as much.
That's understandable.
You ever need us to come out, man, in this upcoming season, let us know if you got some games in mind.
Yeah, we're going to have some games. Hopefully you guys can come out to the Saturday game when we play South Lakes.
South Lakes?
Yeah,
do that?
So it'll be a color rush, you know.
Oh, okay. We can definitely do that.
I mean, we see the jerseys, so.
So
maybe we'll try to get some specialized shirts for that one.
Right, custom shirts.
Yeah.
Well, they said they don't want us to be like Christmas. They're not going to wear their green on green with us red on red. So we'll probably wear black on black.
We saw that in the NFL with the Bills and the Jets.
Yeah, so we'll do that and have, you know, that. But they were green and green, black on black last year. It's a fun opportunity. The referees got a little bit pissed off. We warned them beforehand that we were doing it, and both sides agreed to it. But they were going to, I guess, give us a 15-yard penalty. I guess there's a rule with that, and we had to have our white jerseys just in case. But they allowed it, so we're going to continue to.
As long as they offset, we're fine.
Yeah, as long as they offset. Yeah. Like, I mean, our colors don't clash. Like, we can go black on black, they can go green on green. Hopefully, it's not too hot this year.
Yeah, that's true too. You never know with Virginia.
Right now, it's crazy.
All right, Brent, you want to plug us in?
Make sure you guys tap in. Hit that follow button, hit that subscribe, at Dark Visors, at levelsapp.ai on Instagram, and at levelsapp.ai on Twitter.
Yeah.
That was a lot of plugins.
Yeah, hey, Coach, and if you're ever looking for a platform that that allows your kids to put their verified statistics on there, looking for a platform that they can highlight themselves, create and edit their highlight films or their workouts, and create an ecosystem where they're showing the next level, exactly what their performance is like, being able to track their statistics from point A to point B in their development, and also being able to touch and reach coaches directly on an app, and resources in the area. Be sure you have them download Levels Recruiting in the Apple Store. We have our first pilot of 20 college coaches that are actually going to be in there, and so all 700 of our users are going to be able to touch 20 college coaches, and that's 20 more opportunities that they would never have if they didn't get on this app, and that's also 700 opportunities that these coaches are going to have as well. So if you're already not plugged in, and if you haven't already started telling your kids about it, it's Levels Recruiting, and you can download it on the Apple Store, soon to be Android as well.
All right, that sounds good. I mean, we'll do it. So
all right, man.
We'll get them on.
Good to have you on, man. Appreciate your time, bro.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah. All right,
Peace.
see you.